In this class, we will discuss a problem of linear programming which is solved by Simplex method, a very important method which can be used to analyze any linear programming problem. The problem states like this: maximize z is equal to 20x1 plus 15x2 subjected to the constraints. These are the three constraints: 3x1 plus 2x2 less than or equal to 12, x1 plus 2.3 x2 less than or equal to 6.9, x1 plus 1.4 x2 less than or equal to 4.9. So you can observe here that the objective function is z is equal to 20x1 plus 15x2. We have to maximize this function subjected to these inequalities which are called as the constraints. These are the constraints. Now, in Simplex method, what we do is we are going to introduce variables called slack variables. So, by introducing the slack variables, we can convert all these inequalities to equalities. So, inequalities to equalities we can convert, or equations we can convert. So, this x1 and x2 they are called as the basic variables. Whereas we are going to introduce some other variables called slack variables in order to convert this, whether it is greater than equal to or less than equal to, we are going to introduce the slack variables. The number of slack variables depend on the number of inequalities. The first equation I will write 3x1 plus 2x2 plus s1 is equal to 12. So this s1 is the slack variable for the first inequality. Then second equation x1 plus 2.3 x2 plus s2 is equal to 6.9. So please see that this less than or equal to is converted to is equal to by introducing this slack variables s1, s2, s3. So x1 plus third equation 1.4 x2 plus s3 is equal to 1.9. So these are the new equations after introducing the slack variables. Now the objective function is also written in the form like this. Here please observe the objective function is written like this: minus 20x1 minus 15x2 plus z is equal to 0. So if you bring all these to this side, so it becomes negative and RHS becomes 0. So this is how we are going to write the objective function. So now these are the four equations now. So we will solve this by Simplex method. Simplex method is an iterative method. So wherein you know that these conditions x1 and x2 they are always positive. So please note that x1 and x2 they have to be positive. That means x1 greater than or equal to 0, x2 is also greater than or equal to 0. This is what the condition is. Even if they don't give that, we have to take that. Now, this is done in the form of an iteration, or you can call it as an array, A, R, A1. So, first array, I will take it as the first array or first equation. So, it is written in the form of a table. So you observe here that the table is written like this. Please note how I am going to write the table. The slack variables are written by here s1, s2, s3 and z. So this is how it is written. And the basic variables x1 and x2 are written in the form of column. So now here you see in the first column the slack variables along with z is written. In the second column, these coefficients are written, whatever is there in the RHS. So 12, 6.9, 4.9 and 0, they are written. So 12, 6.9, 4.9, 0. Z, of course, what are the coefficients in the RHS? Those values are written in the second column. Now the third column, we are going to write the coefficients of x1. Coefficients of x1, they are written in the third column. See here, the third column coefficients of x1 will be 3, 1, 1, minus 20. 3, 1, 1, minus 20. Next, in the fourth column, the coefficients of x2 are written. Coefficients of x2 are, you can see these equations, 2, 2.3, 1.4 and minus 15. 2, 2.3, 1.4 and minus 15. So this is the first table we have to write after getting the equations. So now, after this what we have to do is, you have to observe this last column, that is the values associated with z. So last column we have to see, and in that, which is the maximum negative value. So here the maximum negative value is minus 20. So I have to mark that, minus 20. So what you have to do is, you have to take this column which corresponds to maximum negative value of z. So this is the column. We have to highlight that. I will write an arrow here like this. We have to move like this. And now what we have to do is, we have to take here horizontally along the rows. What we have to do here is, so this column is called as the pivot column. Pivot column. Now here, once you get the pivot column, now next step is, you divide these values of first column by these values in the second column. So I will write here. So 12 divided by 3. See, 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Then 6.9 divided by 1. That is 6.9. Then 4.9 divided by 1. Which is 4.9. So you have to divide the first column elements, or that is the, you can say second column elements, by the third column elements here. Because this becomes the pivot column. Divide all these values by the pivot, respective pivot column elements, and write down here. And among these three, whichever is least, whichever is least, that is taken as, that row is taken as the pivot row. So here, this becomes the pivot row. This becomes the pivot row. So what we have done here is, in the first iteration, we have located the pivot column and pivot row. So this becomes the pivot row. And the column, the element which is common to both this pivot row and pivot column, you can see here, that is the element 3. So this is common to both. So this element 3 is called as the pivot. That is the name pivot. Okay, pivot. That is the name pivot. So in the first step, you have to do like this. Next, I will take second iteration, which is called as array 2. Array 2. Second iteration, I will take it as array 2. In array 2, what we have to do here is, so since this becomes the pivot column here, now we have to replace this S1 by X1, or interchange this X1 and S1 we have to interchange. That means in the second column, this S1 becomes X1. Of course, these two remain same, S2, S3 and Z, they remain the same. Now I am writing the second table, second iteration table. So what I have done here is, replace or interchange S1 by X1 and vice versa. So these two are interchanged now. Now I will write like this. Yes, here instead of X1 it becomes S1 here, and of course this is X2 only. There is no change in that. Only we have interchanged these two. Now what we have to do here is, you have to proceed in the same lines. before that, to get the second table, what we have to do here is very important. The new table is obtained by dividing the pivot row elements by the pivot. So this is important. So pivot is now 3. 3 is the pivot. Pivot value is 3 now. So we have to divide the pivot row elements by this pivot. That means this 12. 12 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 should be written here. So this is 12 divided by 3, which is 4. This we have to take the reciprocal of this. Please note that pivot should not be divided by pivot. Pivot should be replaced by its reciprocal. Reciprocal of 3 is 1 by 3 or 0.33. You can take. Then this is 2 by 3. You can take it as 0.6. So except the pivot, the other elements which are there in the pivot row, they have to be divided by the pivot value, and we have to write like this. Next, what we have to do here is the elements in the pivot column, they are divided by the pivot with the negative sign. So this is the pivot column. Please note, this is the pivot column. So these elements should be divided by pivot with negative value. So pivot is 3. That means you have to divide by minus 3. If you divide it by minus 3, this becomes minus 1 by 3, which is minus 0.33. This is also minus 1 by 3, minus 0.33. This is plus 20 by 3. You have to take opposite side. So which is 6.6. So please note that there are two things here. The pivot row elements, they are divided by the pivot and they are written except the pivot value. Pivot value is replaced by its reciprocal. That is one thing. Second thing is the pivot column elements, they are divided by pivot and take the opposite sign. If it is plus, it has to be taken minus. If it is minus, it has to be taken plus. See here, this becomes minus, this becomes minus, this becomes plus. So these are the things. The other elements is the 6.9, 2.3, 1.4, 4.9, minus 15. They have to be changed now. So how we are going to change the other elements? Other elements, the formula is like this. Other elements, they are replaced by the previous value minus, they are replaced by previous value minus element in the pivot row minus into element in the pivot column divided by pivot. So this is how we have to use for other elements. Other elements are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the formula we have to use to get the new elements for the other elements of the table. So let us do one by one. So now 6.9. For 6.9, it should be replaced by 6.9 minus E of the element in the pivot row into element of pivot column. The element of pivot row into element of pivot column. So here, what happens here is, this becomes, 1 second. This I have to first locate the pivot row here. Pivot row, how to locate? Once again, I have to take the least of these things. 4 divided by 0.69. This is 6.9 minus. So I have to take pivot row into pivot column element. Pivot row element into pivot column element. Pivot column element. 6.9 is this. Minus. I have to take pivot row element is 12 into 1 divided by 3. Yeah, correct. 6.9 is this value. Previous value means it is 6.9 minus corresponding pivot row element is 12. into corresponding pivot column element is 1 divided by pivot value is 3. So this is the value we have to replace the 6.9. So it becomes 6.9 minus 4, which is 2.9. So this becomes 2.9. Similarly, I have to take 4.9. For 4.9, previous value is 4.9 minus corresponding pivot row value is 12 and pivot column element is 1. So this is also 12 into 1 divided by pivot value is 3. So 4.9 minus 4, which is 0.9. So this becomes 0.9. Yes, correct. Next, for 0, it is 0 minus 12 into minus 20. So you should be very careful. 12 into minus 20 divided by 3. So 0, previous value, minus pivot row element is 12 into minus 20. So this becomes positive. So 24, 80. It becomes 80. So this you have to write it as 80. Next, coming to this, these three. 2.3 is the value, previous value, minus pivot row element is 2, pivot column element is 1. So minus 2 into 1 by 2. It is 2.3 minus 0.67. 2.3 minus 0.67, it becomes 1.64. If you take 6, it becomes 1.64. So I have written 1.64 here. Next, here 1.4 minus, that is the previous value, minus pivot row element is 2, pivot column element is 1. 2 into 1 by 3, which is 1.4 minus 0.66. So which is you are going to get 0.73. 0.73. Oh, okay, 0.73 or 74 effective, no problem. So 0.73 is this value. Then last value minus 15. So it is minus 15 minus pivot row element is 2, pivot column element is minus 20. So 2 into minus 20 divided by 3. So it is minus 15. It is 40 divided by 3 plus minus into minus plus 13.33, which is minus 1.67. Minus 1.69. So this is how you have to get the second table. So once again, once you get this, you have to repeat once again the same procedure. So last row you have to see, in that last row, whichever is negative value, so that you have to mark. Corresponding to that, whatever column is there. So please see in the last row, this is 86.67, this is minus 1.67. So this is negative. So negative value. If more than one elements are negative, you take the maximum negative. So here, if only one negative is there, you take that negative. So this becomes the pivot column. This becomes the pivot column. And the corresponding pivot row, we have to calculate, we have to identify with the same procedure. So once you get all these values, now you can get the pivot row. Now I have to identify which is the pivot row based on the same procedure. So in that procedure, what we have done, we have divided the second column element by the pivot column elements. So here also we have to do the same thing. So if you do the same thing, second column element is 4 here, pivot column element is 0.67. So this divided by this. So 4 divided by 0.67, which comes out to be 5.87. You can just take that. Then here 2.9 divided by 1.64. 2.9 divided by 1.64, which comes out to be 1.77. Next here 0.9 divided by 0.73, which comes out to be 1.23. 1.23. So these three. Now among these three, whichever is least. So least is this. This is the least. 1.23. 5.87, 1.77, 1.23. So corresponding to this becomes the pivot row now. For the second cycle or the second iteration or the second array, this becomes the pivot row. So now this is the pivot column. This becomes the pivot row. Now we have to go to the third array. So we have to continue this till we get all these values positive. Last row you have to get or x1, x2 should get positive. Now the next in the next array, if you repeat the same procedure, so from whatever we have got array 2 from array 1, same thing we have to do for array 3 from array 2. Third iteration, array 3. So here, now what we have to do is, you have to replace now this x2. So whatever x2 is there, this has to be replaced now. So this s3 is replaced by x2. Please note that. So here we have replaced s1 by x1. Here we have replaced s3 by x2. So replace s3 by x2. Now it becomes x1, s2, x2, z. This becomes the first column. Okay, then after this, we have to do the same thing whatever we have done here to get this. So what we have done here, 12 divided by 3. So here the pivot element, which is the pivot element 0.73, which is common to both this pivot row and pivot column. This 0.73, this becomes the pivot now. For the second cycle, 0.73 becomes the pivot. Now as per the procedure, what we have to do here is, so here in this pivot row, these pivot row elements, they have to be divided by this pivot value. This should be replaced by its reciprocal. Okay, that means this value, so this x2, this thing, so in this what happens here, 0.9 is there, this 0.9 should be divided by 0.73. So which you are going to get it as which you are going to get I think 1.2. Next, this value minus 0.33 should be divided by 0.73. Minus 0.33 divided by 0.73. It is minus 0.45. Minus 0.45. Okay, and here this one should be taken reciprocal. Please note that pivot should be replaced by its reciprocal. 1 by 0.73, which is 1.37. So this is what we get. First you write down for the pivot row. Then pivot column elements, they have to be replaced. So how to replace them? Pivot column elements, they have to be replaced by dividing the elements by the pivot with a negative sign. Okay, that means this value will be now 0.67 divided by 0.73 with a negative sign. Okay, opposite sign. So that means it becomes minus 0.67 divided by 0.73. So which is minus 0.92. Minus 0.92. Okay, please check the values. Next, 1.64 with a negative sign. So minus 1.64 divided by pivot is 0.73. So this value is minus 2.25. Minus 2.25. Next, this last one, that minus becomes plus now. 1.67 divided by 0.73, it becomes 2.29. 2.29 positive. Okay, so negative becomes positive. This is negative, this becomes positive. So we have filled the elements in the pivot row and pivot column. The other elements have to be replaced by the same formula. Other elements, the formula is previous value minus element in the pivot row into element in the pivot column divided by the pivot. So this is used for other elements. Other elements means these values: 4, 2.9, 80, and here 0.33 minus 0.33, 6.67. So first I will take up that 4. Previous value is 4 minus element in the pivot row. So pivot row element corresponding to this 4 is 0.9 into pivot column corresponding element for this 4 is 0.69. So 0.9 into 0.67. 0.9 into 0.67 divided by pivot value is 0.73. So this is the value for the first, that is for 4. So if you simplify this, you are going to get 3.17. 3.17. So this should be written here. 3.17. Next, we have written this 2.9. 2.9 has to be replaced by 2.9 minus corresponding pivot row element is 0.9, corresponding pivot column element is 1.64. So 0.9 into 1.64. 0.9 into 1.64 divided by pivot is 0.75. So this is the value. So if you simplify this, you get 0.88. Please check the values. 0.88. Next, I will come to this 80. 80 minus corresponding pivot row element is for this corresponding pivot row element is 0.9 and corresponding pivot column element is minus 1.67. So 0.9 into minus 1.67 divided by the pivot value, that is 0.73. Now if you simplify this, you are going to get 82.06. So this we got. Next, these three values. 2 by 3, that is 0.67. 0.67 if you are replacing 0.67 minus corresponding to this pivot row element. Oh, sorry, not this. This second I have. Second. This 0.33. The 0.33 minus corresponding pivot row element is for this is minus 0.33 and corresponding pivot column element is 0.67. So that means 0.33 minus 0.33 into 0.67 divided by 0.73. If you simplify this, you are going to get 0.63. 0.63. Next, that means this value becomes 0.63. I think I have not written this 0.88 here. Let me put that. This is 82.86. Now, coming to this minus 0.33, so I will write here. So minus 0.33 minus pivot row element corresponding to this minus 0.33 is minus 0.33 only into pivot column element is 1.64. So minus 0.33 into 1.64 divided by 0.73. So if you simplify this, you are going to get minus 0.45. Minus 0.45. So that value I have to write here. Minus 0.45. Next, lastly, I am saying for the 6.67, 6.67 minus corresponding pivot row element is minus 0.33 into corresponding pivot column element is minus 1.67. So minus 0.33 into minus 1.67 divided by 0.73. The value here you are going to get here is 5.92. 5.92. So that is this value. Yes. So now if you observe this last row, we can see all the values are positive. All the values are positive. So you have to repeat this step till you get in the last row that correspond to the Z. All the values here 82.06, 5.92, 2.29. So till that we have to. So of course in this problem we have got in the third cycle. Now whatever value of Z you are going to get here, 82.06, that is your maximum. So maximum Z is equal to 82.06. Corresponding values of x1 and x2. Corresponding values of x1 and x2 are 3.17 and 1.23. 3.17, 1.23. So you can see this is positive, this is positive. Both are positive. So we got this as the maximum value. So you can check this. The check is Z is equal to, we have to maximize. The problem is like this, Z is equal to 20x1 plus 15x2. 20x1 plus 15x2. If you put these values, 20 into x1 is 3.17 plus 15 into x2 is 1.23. You get 82.06. Of course, slightly different, maybe the decimals, not a problem. So this is checked. So this is how we have to do the problem by simplex method. So it is an iterative method. So only thing is we are going to introduce slack variables. The number of slack variables is equal to number of constraints. And afterwards we are going to arrange the coefficients in form of tables. Then we are going to identify the pivot row. First we are going to identify the pivot column. Then pivot row is identified. Pivot is identified. So on each cycle we will be having a pivot value. In the first we got 3 as the pivot. In the second case 0.73 we have got the pivot. So we have to do those transformations for the elements. First we have to transform this pivot row elements, then pivot column elements, then other elements, and also pivot. Pivot is replaced by its reciprocal. Pivot column and other pivot row elements, they are obtained by dividing the values by the pivot value, and pivot column elements are replaced by dividing the earlier column elements by the pivot and taking the negative value of that, and other elements are replaced by this thing, previous value minus element in the pivot row into element in the pivot column divided by pivot. So these are the things we have to continue the iterative procedure till we get the values corresponding to the Z objective function value is all the elements should get positive in that row. When that stage is reached, the corresponding values of the basic variables x1 and x2 are obtained like this. And we can check the answer by substituting for x1 and x2 in the objective function. So you will get the value. So this is how you have to go by simplex method.